What if avoiding crowded places isn't a sign of anxiety or weakness, but actually a marker of a highly tuned mind? In a world that celebrates packed concerts, busy cafes, and constant stimulation, some people instinctively pull away. Psychology reveals that this reaction isn't random. It's deeply wired and surprisingly intelligent. Psychology and neuroscience reveal why certain minds feel overwhelmed in crowds while others feel energized. In this video, you'll discover the hidden psychological traits behind crowd aversion and why many of them are strengths, not flaws. Stay until the end because the final insight challenges one of the most common assumptions about social behavior. People who dislike crowds often experience the world more intensely. Sounds feel louder, movements feel faster, visual input stacks up quickly. Psychology refers to this as high sensory processing sensitivity. Research shows that some brains take in more environmental data per second, activating neural pathways linked to alertness and detail detection. If crowded spaces feel exhausting, it actually suggests a nervous system tuned for depth, not chaos. Like a high-resolution camera, more data means richer perception but also faster overload. But here's what most people miss. This sensitivity often correlates with creativity and emotional awareness. Next, there's a cognitive reason crowds feel mentally draining. Crowds demand constant micro-decisions, where to step, who to avoid, how to move. Studies indicate that this triggers cognitive load saturation, where working memory fills faster than average. The brain burns energy just maintaining awareness. If crowded environments feel mentally exhausting, it actually shows strong executive functioning. The mind is tracking everything at once. Imagine running multiple apps simultaneously. Performance drops not because the system is weak, but because it's doing too much at once. Here's the fascinating part. This trait often appears in strategic thinkers and planners. Another sign goes even deeper into emotional intelligence. Crowds aren't just loud, they're emotional. Stress, excitement, impatience, anxiety. Psychology reveals that some people are more susceptible to emotional contagion, where the brain subconsciously mirrors others' emotional states. If crowded places feel overwhelming, it may indicate high emotional intelligence. The mind is reading emotional cues automatically. Research on empathy shows that emotionally perceptive individuals absorb group mood faster, which can become draining in dense environments. This isn't fragility, it's emotional attunement. But wait, crowd avoidance isn't always about emotion. Sometimes it's about control. Crowds are unpredictable, sudden movements, random noise, broken patterns. Behavioral psychology links crowd discomfort to a strong preference for predictive processing, the brain's drive to anticipate what happens next. If uncertainty feels stressful, it actually reflects a brain optimized for pattern recognition and planning. Research suggests that people who value structure experience higher stress in chaotic settings, not because they lack resilience, but because their minds are future-oriented. This explains why quiet, controlled environments feel calming. And here's something deeper: crowd aversion often connects to identity. People who avoid crowds often have rich inner worlds. Thoughts, ideas, internal dialogue. Psychology describes this as introspective focus, attention directed inward rather than outward. Crowds pull attention outward aggressively, disrupting internal processing. If silence and space feel restoring, it actually shows strong self-reflection and introspection. Studies on personality patterns show that internally oriented minds generate insight best with minimal external noise. This isn't antisocial. It's depth-focused cognition, but the most misunderstood reason comes next. Crowds reduce personal space. The brain notices. Neuroscience shows that some individuals have a more responsive amygdala-based threat detection system, especially in dense social environments. If the body tenses in crowds, it doesn't mean paranoia, it means vigilance. Research indicates this pattern appears more often in people who are conscientious, observant, and safety-aware. Evolutionarily, this was protective. And now, the most surprising insight, one that reframes everything. Psychology reveals that crowd-averse individuals often value depth over frequency in relationships. Crowds encourage surface-level interaction. Noise replaces nuance. If packed spaces feel empty rather than exciting, it actually signals a preference for meaningful connection. Studies on social satisfaction show that people who dislike crowds often report stronger one-on-one bonds. This isn't social avoidance, it's social selectivity, and that distinction changes everything. Hating crowded places isn't a flaw. Psychology shows it often reflects sensitivity, intelligence, emotional awareness, and depth. These traits don't thrive in noise, they thrive in clarity. If this resonated, it means the mind values meaning over stimulation. If this video felt validating, subscribe for weekly psychology insights that help decode human behavior and inner patterns. Up next, the psychology of people who feel drained after socializing and why it's linked to intelligence.